Greetings, YouTube. It's the Brain Damage Gamer here,
Outlaw Speaks.
and we are going to be filming a new series for you. It is going to be BDG News, the Brain Damage Gaming News. We're going to be covering some of the different topics that we've seen in gaming, and just kind of bring up some of the things we thought were interesting as far as what we've seen happening in the past week or so. So, first thing that we have is BioShock Remastered. Apparently, they just got this released for all of us PC gamers on the 15th. And if you already had a copy of it, then you get a free copy.
I'm kind of excited about it because it was a beautiful game to begin with, and like now with what it's capable of, I'm pretty excited about that. I don't like playing the game. I like watching the game. I get so anxious during the games that I'm a mess, but with somebody else playing it,
You've been like that with anything that even has like a tinge of horror. You're like, I can't play horror games. Nope.
Yeah.
You start spinning and shooting at random things.
Random like small noises, and I just like blow up the whole damn place. So yeah, I don't play, but I enjoy watching other people play. But it's already a beautiful game, and we've seen obviously what they're capable of using the technology we have today. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
I agree.
In other news, Sony won't allow mods for the Fallout 4 or Skyrim on PS4. Bethesda says Sony won't approve the user mods as they stand right now, which I don't even know what that means. But Xbox has allowed the mods and has had issues from a number of things, including bugs, crashes. Maybe Sony's trying to avoid having to deal with everybody being angry at them once again.
The catch-22 is everybody's angry at them because they won't let them put the mods on. The thing to think about, too, is if they are putting the mods on their system, the game wasn't designed to run with the mods. The mods were designed to run with the game, which means that it could crash because mods do weird things. And, I could make a mod for Fallout 4, but it doesn't mean that it's going to run good.
Yeah.
It could run, just absolute garbage.
See, I know nothing about mods, not really. I mean, I think very few games that I've played that's even been an option.
Well,
or if they have, you gave it to me and it was already modded, so I didn't do anything with it. It wasn't new to me. Whereas some people have played the game without the mods, and that's why they want the mods, because they've played it without and with. Whereas I'm just like, oh, mod.
Well, you remember when you played Fallout 3 and New Vegas? I'd modded those.
See,
I'd modified.
See, now I'm upset for PS4 players because oh my god. But I mean, from my standpoint, you gave it to me. And you said, here, play this game that you love. And I'm like, oh my god, this game I love. And so I didn't have even an idea of what it was like without it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's more people like me who let other people do their shit for them, then, that might not be an issue.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind is, too, that Sony, if they were going to take this stance, shouldn't have initially come out and said it's okay to do the mods. Because if they had just done the initial denial, I think what really happened is you saw a roller coaster here. Everybody got excited and said, hey, mods! Woohoo! And then Sony said, actually, this doesn't work right, and then just pulled the plug on it. Yeah. Which is funny because they're saying...
Isn't that kind of how Sony is anyway?
Oh, yeah.
They're big promisers and then ruiners. And then ruiners.
I won't say too much, No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
since they heavily push that out. So that, I guess, in other news as well, the people over at the PR department for Sony came out and said that, No Man's Sky was kind of a mess when it launched, and it's because the PR department for Hello Games isn't really a PR department. It's just kind of them running as an indie studio.
Throw them under the bus.
Which is hilarious because Hello Games was relying on Sony to do the PR for them.
Even so, isn't PR 101 deny? I mean, shit.
In video games, it's don't overpromise. But it's basically deny. People are like, is this in the game? We will not confirm or deny that. The thing is, Sean Murray literally went the Moraloo route, and he just said, it's all in the game!
Yeah. You want a kitchen? You want a kitchen in the game? Kitchen's in the game.
Yep. There's a kitchen in your starship in the game.
You can be cooking eggs and flipping that thing and just, would you like an omelet for in your game? Well, I think you're right. He did.
I went to a black hole.
Yeah.
All this is happening while you're driving to a black hole. It's all cool.
It's cool, yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, he did. He overpromised, and then...
and then
Sony kicks them under
kicked
the
him
bus.
on the bus. I'm pretty sure that part of the producer's job is to provide the proper level of PR.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to provide PR, they might have wanted to have some people actually look at the game from Sony and say, hey, you know what, Sean? That's not actually in there. You sure you want to keep saying that? I'm not sure you want to keep saying that, Sean.
They should have, someone that, actually walks around behind him and just says, shh, 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 shh.
I'm pretty sure that's what they used to have to do for Pierre Morley. He kind of just shuffled away quietly after the last Fable game, and everybody went, dude, what the hell? Again. And then he made...
Well, and the bad thing is, let's be honest. Some of that behavior can be blamed on fans as well.
Yeah. The overhyping.
Not even the overhyping, but the accepting of the hype.
Yeah.
I love watching trailers for movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I would watch trailers all day. I wouldn't even watch the damn movie. I'll just watch the trailers. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe a damn thing they say.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, how many times have we watched a movie trailer, we're like, oh yeah, let's go, and then the movie is nothing like the trailer.
And there's 4 or 5 scenes that were in the trailer that aren't even in the movie.
Not in the movie. Good news. Lindsay Lohan's Grand Theft Auto lawsuit against Rockstar Games is over. So in 2014, Lindsay Lohan sued Rockstar Games, claiming that Grand Theft Auto 5 included a character that was based on her. Normally I would say, delusional. But this character was named Lacey Jonas. I still don't see it. And she had a tagline that said, I'm really famous. I didn't do anything. Who would admit that was them? If that was your who would admit that?
In all honesty, that's the thing that didn't make sense to me about the entire lawsuit, because I could understand maybe there was...
that sounds more like Paris Hilton.
I was going to say, because Lindsay Lohan did a bunch of movies as she grew up. Ever since, what was it, the one Parent Trap.
Yeah.
Ever since the Parent Trap, she kind of slowly did little movies here and there. And
Freaky Friday. Mean Girls. I like me some Mean Girls. But she's not completely without talent.
Yeah, and she didn't fit that tagline. Paris Hilton really did. Mm-hmm. But some of the behaviors that they had that particular character doing was similar to Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
So I could understand.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that character.
Well, yeah.
And I meant to watch a video of it to see if I had seen her and just blanked it, because I have junk in my head that is probably more important. But I don't know. I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know if there was mannerisms or words that, or I guess subjects that she had been involved in. But either way, the Supreme Court ruled that Lindsay Lohan's name and photo were not used. Name and or photo were not used, nor was she ever an actor for the production of the games. The Supreme Court articulated that Grand Theft Auto 5 is a work of fiction and satire. As if we didn't know that. But apparently they had to put this out there for all the other legal people who said, that person has red hair. And they said a word I once said.
It must be me.
It must be me. How did they were following me? And I can imagine that there's a lot of people that were like, I can relate to characters like that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's you.
Exactly. And in all honesty, I've never really thought that character was supposed to be Lindsay Lohan. Even if it was, the Supreme Court said, it's satire. That's fiction and satire. You can't sue someone for doing that. And
political cartoonists would be out of all of their money, all of their jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
If that was okay. Especially, I'm sure that donkeys everywhere would be pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just...
And
elephants.
And elephants, yep. And,
elephants.
A lot of the older cartoons that thrived off of, all the little comic strips that you used to see. Doonesbury was one of them, yeah. They would be just completely out of business for the amount of lawsuits they would have run into.
Although I'm sure they probably happened. It might, given how old those comics are, it might not have been as easily available, the information about it.
I don't think so, because if you go all the way back in American history to even back when Mark Twain was doing things, he used to do little political jabs at people with satire-based stories that he would sell as not an article but a joke, and he'd sell it to a paper, and then they'd put it in print it, and nobody'd do anything about it because he'd make sure to change names and make very vague implications to what could have happened to certain things. And it was, if you ever get a chance to go back and read some of them, they're just hilarious because it's quite obvious it's probably intended to be some sort of local political figure, but they can't do anything about it because he's changed it.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff.
Well, even so, like, Lacey Jonas sounds nothing.
It sounds more like a Jonas brother. Also in lawsuits, Digital Homicide, the games developer that has flooded Steam with a lot of different games that are primarily asset flips. Just assets they buy from Unity or other asset stores, and then they put them together with the minimum of coding to make them work, and then release them onto the marketplace. They have attempted to sue 100 Steam users for a total damages of 18 million. They want 18 million US for all of the various punitive damages that they've suffered because of these people's actions on Steam. Now, keep in mind that this is their second major lawsuit. The first being they are still in a battle with Jim Sterling because they're suing him, saying that basically he did slander, defamation of character, however you want to word it. But he talked bad about them and created this entire problem because, according to their lawsuit, the second one, I don't know, I haven't read through everything on the Jim Sterling one, but I did read a decent amount of the second one that they filed. According to that one, their games would have made them millions over the course of the next few years. And as such, that's why they feel that they're owed these millions from him and from these 100 random internet users.
Yeah, because how much is he asking from Jim?
I believe it's 10 million.
10
well,
million.
It's 10 million plus like lawsuit costs and damages, which up values it to like 11 million because
does he like have a bill coming due or something?
I don't know.
That since he didn't get it from Jim,
you mean
interest is like 18 million now?
You mean the Romaine brothers? I don't know.
Because I mean, that's pretty. Maybe it's just me, but like, I can't imagine being so damaged that I could require $18 million. Maybe it's because I don't value myself as highly as these two. But
I'm brain damaged.
Okay.
I actually have a traumatic brain injury.
And
hence,
you
the name.
don't even get that kind of.
Lord, no.
The
government barely gives me enough to pay for rent on a crappy apartment in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to just. I'm baffled by, going against Steam users that this is anonymous people. Yeah. This is not like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I am big on the argument of people getting internet balls.
Yeah, and cyberbullying.
Because they're behind, you'll never know who they are or where they're from. And, I understand that, and that is a big issue. I'm not saying that it's not, but like, these people weren't lying. I mean, most of this, I understand. There's always those people that take it too far. I'm not saying that there's not, and I'm sure there are a couple in there that did the whole, kill yourself or any of those other things that people say, but some of it is just people saying you can't defend this game just because you're their friend, or they were paid. They paid people, which
allegedly.
Allegedly.
That is the one caveat we want to put on a lot of this is that
this is
most of this is allegedly information.
Yeah.
Now, the catch-22 of that is, since it's alleged information, if we can't confirm any of it specifically, that means that we're not saying it is definitive fact. I want to put that caveat in there for this one reason alone, and you know this because I pointed it out after it happened. I actually had one of the Romaine brothers comment on one of my videos, one of the Return or Retain series, where they told me it wasn't legal for me to review a video or review a game on a video and then return it. Because by doing that, I had removed the ability to do a review of it because I don't own it anymore. So, and for anyone that doesn't understand the process when I do those Return or Retain videos, when I'm reviewing a product to decide if I want to keep it in my Steam library or take it back, I buy the game, I record myself playing for anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Sometimes I trim it down to the half hour or smaller in order to make it fit within, guidelines. But typically it's a half hour. And then if the game is worth keeping, I keep it. And it just stays in my Steam library. If it's absolute garbage, it doesn't play well, it doesn't meet the criteria of what I would think would be a good game, I return it. And typically in that time window is when I do the editing, get my video uploaded. So I return the product after I've already tried to use it to see if it's worth being used. And there shouldn't be any legal problem with that, because that's literally the equivalent of me going to Walmart and saying, you know what, this looks like it'd be a great desk. And then I take it home, and if that desk, they say, hey, you just need to use, these 4 legs in order to hold it up. And I'm like, there's 2 legs in the box. And there's no indication that it was ever supposed to have 4. I'd take it back to Walmart and be like, this isn't a desk. Mm-hmm. This is some sort of weird, easel you lean against the wall.
Excuse me. If that were true, Amazon literally would implode.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people leave a review and then say, I return this?
Yep.
And it's like, okay. And then they usually, sometimes they'll list, the reasons why they return it. And it's like, I'm sorry, if I'm buying a desk and they get in the review that, by the way, the desk weighs 8 million pounds and you have to pay, $200 in shipping, and I didn't know this, and then I decide I really like this desk, it's just gorgeous, and they get it here, and it's a steaming pile of crap that they just literally said weighed this and looked like this, and it wasn't that.
You get the desk and it's actually made of styrofoam.
Yeah, it's like styrofoam. You can fling it over your head, and you can do that thing in the meme and just if that were to happen, you would sit here, crap yourself with anger, and then you would put a review saying, this is what happened to me.
I like your analogy more. That actually makes more sense, because that, for the games that they promise, that's a closer example.
Yeah,
because
it's a
they
bait
say
and switch.
This is going to be this game with these capabilities, and you'll be able to do this in the game. And a lot of their games don't meet that criteria.
This is not a just kidding market.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm sorry that if I pay $1 for something,
you want it to be worth $1.
I want it to be worth $1.
At least. Maybe worth more. Digital Homicide does technically provide you with the product. It's not the product originally shown in their paperwork, basically. They say, this is what it's going to look like. Here's screenshots, whatever. And then people get into the game, and the game can't, I did not know this, but I found out after the fact, we actually did play one of their games, because for the most part, once the lawsuit thing kicked in with Jim Sterling, I stepped away from reviewing their games specifically, because I didn't want to get involved in any of that, just because I saw this coming. I predicted that I said that. I said they are going to start going after random people now. It's going to become a lawsuit feeding frenzy where they just start trying to snag random people they think are vaguely associated. Now that they have started doing it, it kind of brings to light that whole, hey, well, if we can get away with him, we're going to do it to as many people as we can. Now, with the game that we played, it was the Galactic Hitman. They actually used a different company's name, pretending to be a different company, and released it that way. So we ended up playing it, and we actually got our game review done before Jim did his. And I'd already released it, and I'm pretty sure I'd already released it onto YouTube before his went up. I may have caught it within a little bit of time, but it was because I had to edit ours. But the game was just unplayable. Mm-hmm. We found that
repeatable.
Yeah, repeatable, because it was the same thing. And we literally just could, I don't remember what I found. I think I found that if you just kind of edged around every corner, you could just kill all the enemies. They couldn't shoot back.
They couldn't shoot you.
Yeah, that's what it was, because we found that if you went just kind of sideways around the corner, you could get just the edge of them and just blow them up. But it was not a game, not even close to a game. And they were selling it to people as if it was. Going back to what you just said, if this was a movie, people would have got up, walked out to the front, and said, give me my money back. And the theaters would have given them the money back, and they could still go online and review it and say, this movie's garbage, don't go to it.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do...
It's no different. They cannot say that you can't talk about a product...
Poorly.
There's a lot of people on there that said, this is not a game.
Yep.
And left it at that. There's a lot of things in there, of people saying, reviews saying, this is not a game.
Yep. This is assets from the Unity
Exactly.
store.
And so, they're not saying anything that's...
not true.
Not fact.
Most of them.
there's
always that caveat, because I'm not going to defend some guy that was like rabid mad dog going crazy about, oh, you know, it was terrible. They did blah 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 blah. And I'm not going to defend somebody that may have actually been in the wrong for that. But they did a broad sweep of 100 people. They didn't even bother to name, from what I could find, name out everybody on the actual list.
They stopped at like 9?
12.
12.
Yeah,
12 to 100 is just not there.
Yeah, they literally said these people are ones that are unnamed, but it's part of a group.
But I mean...
The thing is, here's where I think that they're going to have a significant problem with their lawsuit from one aspect alone. They subpoenaed Valve. They actually went and subpoenaed Valve and said, you need to be involved in this lawsuit and give us these people's personal information so we can sue them.
Well, I'm now curious about their mental faculties, because I don't think that's a good idea.
Valve has lawyers just sitting around because they're bored.
Well, not just that. I mean, I don't want to say that someone is unimportant or that their experiences are trivial.
Mm-hmm.
By no means am I saying that. But you're talking about a what are they, $1 billion now?
I think they're probably $1 billion. I don't know.
I mean, okay.
Well, the problem is they're not publicly traded,
Yeah,
so we don't
so
truly
we don't
know.
Okay, they're asking a big guy to come to a spitball fight.
Yeah.
Essentially, because he's got nothing.
Yep. Well,
And even if, say, he's asked specifically not for a jury trial. So he wants him and a judge, and it's literally him and a judge because they can't name the defendants.
Did they name both brothers or just the one on the lawsuit? No, it's just the one.
Just the one.
James Oliver Romaine Jr.
Is it Romine or Romaine?
Romaine? It might be Romaine. I don't know. I'm actually not trying to butcher the person's last name. James. We'll call him James.
We'll call him James.
But you're right, though. Even in the very first...
But if he's naming himself as a plaintiff, don't they both own the company?
They do. But here's the thing, though. Because he's kind of stepped out of bounds for what you would expect. People aren't, from what I can tell, people aren't actually naming him or naming his brother when they do their comments on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean...
Or on Steam or any of the other Reddit. They don't name him usually. They're naming Digital Homicide. Now, Digital Homicide is an actual company, if it's an LLC, then he can't sue them as a person working for Digital Homicide because he is not the company.
Yeah. Even
though he is the company. So I don't even know if a judge is even going to entertain this, because this is the equivalent of, we just talked about Sony getting mad because they didn't like what we said and deciding to sue us, and it just be some random employee of Sony suing us personally.
The guy in the mailroom watches our video and is like, those jerks!
Yeah. Exactly. And you can't do that and expect it to actually clear anywhere in the court.
Well, and obviously he does, though. I mean, he's been involved with Jim Sterling for how... Well, I mean, I guess he had more basis to go off of because Jim's stuff was not pointed directly at, but that was, like you said, both of them together.
He always says Digital Homicide, though. I really do think that this lawsuit's going to set a precedent for a lot of things. But I truly, and I threw the prediction out that they were going to do this. I'm expecting one of two things to happen. Either Valve just says, sure, why not? Here's the data, which odds are pretty low of that, because I'm pretty sure the people at Valve are going to look at each other and go, if we do this, nobody's going to trust our platform anymore. They're going to look at our platform and be like, they'll just hand out your data if anybody says so. So that's one possibility. Pretty low chance, in my opinion. The second is Valve looks at them being subpoenaed and goes, no. And we will fight to protect our users' data. And if they do that, if they take that stance, number one, that's going to show a lot to the people that are actually using the platform. But number two, that means that Valve will now level their legal team towards protecting this information. And Digital Homicide, specifically the one brother, is suing a company that has a huge pool of resources, and he's filing all this by himself. He doesn't even have a legal team. This is all self-representation.
So that explains the typos and the...
Yes. Yeah, there's typos and grammatical problems all over their filing.
I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I do know what spell check is.
Because there was a couple of those in there that we had to stop and go, did he mean to type this, or do you mean to type that?
that.
But you know what, though? I'm not going to lie. From the games I've seen that they've produced, it's a similar problem. They don't spell check. And there's more than a few times that if I had been doing episodes of Return to Retain, I would have definitely check marked off for English, where it's not quite English, not quite whatever language it started out as.
So in these games, I mean, is it just him doing the games?
It's the two brothers.
So just the two
supposedly. I don't know what the actual programming that they do.
Okay.
I do know that all of the art and all of the design for a lot of the levels and things is already done by the store assets that they've already pre-purchased. The one thing that I think they might have just an edge that they might be able to just barely hold on to and keep the lawsuit going would be for the harassment.
Yeah.
Because cyberbullying is a big thing that people are starting to worry about. The catch-22 is a lot of cyberbullying is almost impossible to prosecute right now. It's hard to prosecute when it's obvious. And theirs is kind of, it could be, it couldn't be. So I don't know how much they're going to be able to stand on that and say this is definitive. Because there were some things that people said, outright, it's the internet. Of course, there's going to be some idiots like, go kill yourself or whatever.
Always.
And that's never okay. I don't care if you're Hitler. You don't say that on the internet. Because that just leaves you looking like an idiot. And it makes it so that the people who are saying, I'm being persecuted, look like they're legitimately being persecuted, regardless of how terrible they are. Don't say crap like that and expect it to go well for you at the end of the day. Because as these laws do pop up to protect against cyberbullying, eventually you're going to get caught under something if you keep that up. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, a lot of times when stuff like that pops up, it's typically kids. And that's the other thing. What if some of the people they're trying to sue are like 8?
Yeah.
How are you going to sue an 8-year-old for defamation of character? Seriously.
Or in another country.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
What if they're in Africa? What if they're in Indonesia? What if they're in,
I mean, what do you do for that? I mean, do you have to... Well, you'd have to go for every country, right?
You'd have to find a way to get either that country's legal system to accept your lawsuit.
You would request extradition.
Oh, God.
You know what? We don't even know who they are, but we want them to come here now.
Yep.
And show up in court.
Yep.
Now.
I'm willing to bet, though. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm expecting Steam to put their foot down and say no. I'm expecting Valve to be like, nope, no, we're not doing that to our user base.
Yeah.
And I am reading this from page 55 of their lawsuit, and it says that it's item number 172 under this section I'm at. It talks about for 21 months of harassment, they had decreased production, interfered with their business, emotional, and mental strife. The defendant, for the loss of over 40 titles that will never come to exist above a value of $5,000 per title for 5 years, of a total of $1 million. And the rough estimate is, they call them Jane and John Doe throughout the whole document.
Themselves? Or no, the other people.
The people that they're suing, because they don't know who they are.
Like, well, they did that wrong, but sorry.
Yep. But yeah, they expected to make $1 million off of their 40 titles.
That's how they got here.
Yeah.
They said, you know what? We should make $1 million.
Yep.
You want to go make $1 million? All we have to do is we spend this little bit amount of money. Then we do this. And then it just comes on in. People just give it to us and they tell us how beautiful we are.
Most of the assets they buy on the Unity store are under $60.
Oh my gosh, that is a great return on investment.
Oh yeah, because literally they spend $60, they get the asset, and then they just put it together with a minor packaging and
we could
off
just
it
make
goes.
a game called Shovelware.
No.
And you just dig in the game. That's all you do. You just dig. We'll get
make it like Dig Dug, but you just dig straight down.
Yeah, you don't stop.
No left or right, just straight down. You know what? If we did that though, we could call it. We could, because court precedent now from the previous story that we just talked about. I could call that pixel murder.
Yes.
And literally, it would just be your avatar just digging straight down towards the center of the earth because the hole that they've made is not deep enough yet.
Just like
keep going. Keep going towards the bottom. We got to hit the bottom eventually.
So we're moving on to happier and funnier. Maybe not funnier, but happier things.
Definitely funnier.
Maybe funnier. The creator of Rick and Morty launched a VR game development company, which is Super cool. Justin Roiland and Epic Games' executive producer Tanya Watson joined together to form a VR gaming studio called Squanch Tendo.
Squanchy! Squanchy squanching!
They are looking at forming a development team right now. So if you're looking for a job, if you are in the LA or Wake County, North Carolina area or are willing to locate there, you can apply on their brand new website, squanchtendo.com. Well, that is the stories that we have for you today. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment if you have opinion about today's news. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm Outlaw Sphinx.
And Brain Damage Gamer, BDG.
And this was just BDG News.
As always, game on.